Hi, I'm Emily, and this is Hopequesting, the ultimate antidote to what if it doesn't work out. It's a podcast that tells the story of big goals zoomed in. If you are going after dreams that feel far off, impossible, or like something that happens only to someone else, this podcast is for you. So, who am I? Well, in 2020, I lost pretty much everything. My home, my job, and my people. It was the start of the pandemic, and everything that I'd been working towards cascaded and crumbled at the same time. And I've been rebuilding ever since. And this time, I'm determined to build it right. I started the Language Confidence Project podcast way back in 2022 as a way of helping language learners to put a name to all the obstacles they were facing on their language journey, to reassure them that they weren't alone, and to check in every weekday with encouragement. Because learning a language is a huge journey that requires something from every facet of our personality, of who we are. For the past 2 years, I've been bringing you the wisdom of entrepreneurs and creatives and filmmakers to see how we can make our language journey more meaningful, more compassionate, and more like it honors the person that we are and not the person that we wish we were. And then I realized the conversation needs to be bigger, because so much of what I've been working on in the Language Confidence Project isn't just about language learning. It's about taking the whole of who you are, gathering up all your creativity, all your sense of purpose, your sense of impact and justice and curiosity, and casting all of it towards one big goal. It's about taking all of you and playing the long game with it. And nobody really seems to be talking about the long game until people come out the other side as masters, as experts, as victors. And that is exactly what my vision of Hopequesting is. I want to know what extraordinary looks like every day, in the middle of the journey, against the tide of distractions and rejections and doubting, because maybe then we will see that we can do that too. One of the things that I truly believe about language learning is that people don't quit because they don't know what apps to use or where to find a tutor or if spaced repetition is really for them. They quit because they don't believe it's possible. They quit because they don't see or they don't know how to use the tools they have inside them to enter into the long game. So how do we make our big goals happen? And the more work I've been doing on this, the more I'm realizing that there are so many facets to this question. How do we keep sane in that nowhere place of waiting? How do we defend our dreams when people around us think that what we're doing is impossible? How do we figure out the next step when the road feels so foggy? How do we show up every day when we don't feel like it, when the voices are really loud? How do we take action that feels scary when there are no guarantees? And how do we work through the doubts, not just for a short sprint, but for the long haul? How do we keep believing when the rejections pour in? And how do we keep going towards something when actually we don't know exactly what it is that we want? So in this podcast, I'll be inviting a series of wonderful, creative, multi-passionate guests to explore these questions with me. I'll be talking to artists, authors, entrepreneurs, comedians, campaigners, and activists, and all sorts of courageous people who are going after big and pathless goals, hoping to build, rebuild, create, and reinvent. It will be a really practical conversation that focuses on the how. How do we show up for our goals every day when actually we don't want to get out of bed? How do we keep going when the rejections flood in, or when we might not see the results for months or years from now? I'll also be sharing my own personal stories, insights, and the strategies and resources that are working for me. Things will get serious sometimes, but this is not a podcast about diving into the struggle. It's about diving into what people did, what people are doing to lift themselves up, to take that next step, and to make that next decision. We need to have more real conversations about how to do the big things when we feel small and the extraordinary things when we feel so ordinary. And finally, what is the title all about? Well, it started with a tweet in 2020 from the author Aaron Corwin that said, "You're not doom scrolling, you're hope questing. You need those tiny pieces of joy from seeing friends and strangers share their art, their good news, their wacky, unique selves. We need light to live, and we find it in each other." In a world of doom scrolling, we are going to find the good news. We're going to seek out the opportunities, and we're going to be the alchemists that see the negativity, the complaining, and turn it into questions and actions. So if you are a creative, if you have big goals and you're striving to create a life full of meaning and impact, I think you're going to love it. This is a podcast that believes it's possible, and it's coming this September. I'll see you then.